Hello Internet, Solidus here, and today we are going to be talking about conduits. These have been in social media for a number of weeks now with a lot of controversy surrounding them, and just yesterday Blizzard released a blue post explaining what they are going to be doing in an upcoming build. But first, before we go into that, let's just have a look at what conduits are and how they work for people that aren't in the beta. So, before we get going on conduits, we must first understand how we are going to use them, and that is alongside our Soulbinds. Soulbinds are a new feature coming in Shadowlands, and when you reach level 60 on your first character, you are going to be asked to pick a covenant. Each covenant has 3 different Soulbinds. So, for my Warlock, I am in the Kyrian Covenant, much to my dismay. Look at these ridiculous angel wings on a Warlock, it makes no sense. And when you join the Kyrian Covenant, you are then able to select one of 3 Soulbinds. Each Covenant has 3 different Soulbinds, meaning that there are 12 Soulbinds in the game. To access them, you go to your Covenant Hall and you click on the Forge of Bonds, and it will open up a new user interface such as this one. And as you can see on the left hand side, we have 3 different Soulbinds. Now each Soulbind is different and it has a different tree, and within each tree there are different effects that each one has. Now Blizzard have clearly designed these so that each one has a distinct feel and use. Some are quite obviously focused towards PvP, for instance, and they will reduce the amount of crowd control effects that you can have. Some are focused at tanking, and they will reduce damage done to you when you are stood in front of an enemy, and others are healer and DPS focused, and so on and so forth. Some Soulbinds, not so much, and then others are very clearly aimed in that direction. This is just another element of some of that meaningful choice that Blizzard are going on about, and you can pick and choose which one you want to use. However, some are very, very clearly better for any given spec than others, and people are already doing their feely crafting, essentially, because there are no sims yet, to say this one is clearly better for Warlock, or this one is clearly better for Beastmaster Hunter, for instance, and so on and so forth. So already we're seeing that it's not really a meaningful choice because there's one clear winner, pretty much. The other thing to note with Soulbinds, just quickly, is you're not going to have access to all 3 of these as soon as you hit level 60. As you can see here, this one is locked. The second Soulbind is unlocked by you completing the Covenant campaign once you reach level 60. And the third one is unlocked by increasing your levels of renown. So I am level 40 renown on this character because I've just boosted up my anima, and you unlock the third one. So don't go thinking you're going to have access to all of these Soulbinds straight away, because you're not. And you are not going to have access to all of these for the start of the raid. The other thing to note as well is once you have unlocked your Soulbind, you don't instantly get access to all of these trees either. Okay? These are unlocked dependent on your level of renown with your Covenant. You are only going to be able to get 3 levels of renown each week, which means that over time you will start to unlock these, and when the raid first comes out you may only be up to this level on your first Soulbind, and your second Soulbind you might be up to this level. So just bear that in mind. There is a very detailed spreadsheet flying around which shows you when you're going to be able to unlock each level for each week and how it aligns with the raid, but I'm not going to go into that because this is more focused around conduits. So within each of the Soulbinds, then you've then got this tree, and as you can see here, this is the tree that I have active. Each tree has certain abilities. So for instance, this one here, if you select this one, when you are reduced below 35% health, your File of Serenity, which is a potion, essentially a healing potion, it will automatically heal you and consume a charge, so it just takes that. You don't have to press the button to use it function, and each one has a different one. And then within each tree as well, you have empty slots. Now this is where you are going to be placing your conduits. And as you can see, each slot has an icon underneath it, and there are 3 different icons. This one here, the little lightning bolt, is a finesse conduit. A finesse conduit is typically a conduit that will do something for your utility, and it will either shorten a cooldown, for instance, or it will mean that your abilities will do something a little bit additional, but it's not necessarily going to increase your DPS or your healing or give you more sustainability, survivability whilst tanking. The endurance, the little shield icon, now these are more defensive style conduits. They're more suited for tanks, and any spec can use these, and you pretty much always have to use at least one of the endurance or the finesse. And these are less available. They are a less endurance conduit, but these are typically more defensive. And the third one, the little cross icon, they are your potency conduits. Now these buff or do something to your abilities which generally give you more throughput, such as increases your DPS or your heals, for instance. And they also affect your abilities in other ways, such as it can give you a high chance to activate it for a second time for free, for instance, and so on and so forth. So your potency conduits are probably the ones that you are going to be picking more often than not, because they also tend to be more impactful than the ones that are included with your Soulbind. So this meaningful choice that Blizzard talks about isn't necessarily that meaningful when you are just going to look at the path which takes you through the 3 potency slots, because that's where you're going to get more throughput from. So these are where you place your conduits, and you get conduits by playing the game. Dependent on what you do, conduits drop from different places. So world quests, you will see them on your map as a quest reward, for instance. As luck would have it, this very first one I picked here, you can see that this annoying world quest, up and away, which is bugged beyond belief and is so frustrating, drops your soul tithe potency conduit. That's one way. Mythic Plus, raiding, PvP, they will drop different conduits. So you will be needing to do multiple activities in the game to start unlocking these conduits. And then once you've got them, you then come to your Forge of Bonds, you use the item and you learn it, very similar to how you were learning essences, and it will stay in your library. You will also notice here on the right hand side that they have an item level. So the base item level is 145. Now Blizzard have just released the new eye level conduits onto the beta, so we've been able to test it, and essentially, as you would expect, the harder difficulty of content that you are doing, the higher eye level these conduits drop at. Now these conduits also do not take the place of a piece of loot in a dungeon or a raid. They drop extra, so it is worth noting that is the case. So if you are doing Mythic plus 10 keys, Mythic 7 keys, whatever, then they are going to be dropping at higher eye level than 145. And all you do is you come to your tree and you select the path that you are going to be going down, and you're like, right, okay, so for this potency, I want to use this Soulbind. And you just click it and you drag it in. And essentially you just go down and you just pick all of the ones that you want to use. I'm just picking random ones here, and then you apply your conduits. And at this moment, it says you won't be able to change any applied conduits until after the next weekly reset. That was the controversy that has been going on for so long, is that Blizzard made it so that you could only change your conduits once a week. What that meant was, if you are a class that plays multiple specs, different roles, such as a druid, for instance, and in raids, you were really cruel to yourself and you played Boomkin, and then for Mythic Plus you ran as a tank, and then your friends asked you one day, can you come and heal something for me? You would need to change your conduits. Now some Soulbinds are going to be best for DPS and healing, for instance, so you would want to change your conduits to be more reflective of what you are doing if you're going to heal. And then you could change, but you couldn't then change back because you changed your conduits once and you were tied into this. So it just made it so restrictive and more complicated to play. Yesterday, however, Blizzard put a blue post up saying that they had seen all the feedback that had come in and they were going to make some changes to allow more flexible style of play. What they did then is they said they were going to add 10 charges each week that would allow you to apply your conduits. And each time that you applied a conduit to your Soulbind, it reduced your charges by 1. Meaning essentially that you had 10 attempts, 10 goes, 10 changes each week before you were then locked in and couldn't do no more. They also said that that is going to recharge at 1 charge per day, meaning that every day you would then be given another one up to a cap of 10. And then also, if you acquired a new conduit and you applied it, learned it to your library, that would also give you a charge as well. Are you confused yet? Because that is, for me, the biggest problem with this. The devs have created a situation by saying 1 change per week, and now they are introducing, quite frankly, a convoluted system into an already fairly complex system to fix that problem. Rather than just saying, okay, there's no change, you can just freely change your conduits as you see fit, which I don't see any issue in. Why can we, as players, not be able to pick what we want to do at any given time with the class and spec that we are playing as? It's just mind-boggling. I don't understand why they're introducing another system into another system, into an X-Pack, which is already full of new systems. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that they've also entered this change because ultimately it means that we are going to have quite a bit more freedom and flexibility to play with. However, if you are somebody that has friends from different areas of the game and you play one character constantly, you have one main and you don't have ults that do different areas of the game, then you still could potentially lose out and get locked into certain conduits. That being said, we're just going to have to wait and see because we do get new conduits quite frequently, especially as you start doing harder content, running different dungeons. They are dropping fairly regularly. I suppose technically you could save conduits to make sure you keep getting those charges. But overall, yeah, it's quite a convoluted system, but at least it's better than not being able to change more than once a week at all. So there you go. That is what Blizzard have said. That is how conduits work. Essentially, you're going to get them by playing different elements of the game. The harder content you do, the higher item level you get, and you can learn them, and you are going to have 10 changes per week, which will then increase every day and every time you learn a new conduit into your library. Let me know what you think. Have Blizzard got this right? Are they just making things more complicated than they need to be? Do you think the conduits are going to give you a meaningful choice? Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked the video, and if you aren't already, please feel free to subscribe to stay up to date with any of the news, latest class guides for World of Warcraft Shadowlands, and I will see you in the next one.